I love Rick and Morty. I think I must have watched all the episodes about 10 times. The humor is absurd, the characters are completely nuts and sometimes ridiculous. The voices of Rick and Morty in English capture very well their personality. I understand why the show is so successful, it deserves it. But after having fun and finishing an episode, I always end up a little disturbed. I laugh at certain situations on the show, but my laughter is a nervous one. When it's like that with humor, in general, it means there is a truth that we feel under the humor. Humor helps convey some difficult thoughts that we would not dare to face directly. In Rick and Morty, you just need to think about it a little to find out what's behind the humor.
Oh yeah, you gotta get swifty. You gotta get swifty in here. It's time to get swifty.
In each episode, we see parallel universes and planets where danger and death are the only common truths. The entire world of Rick and Morty is filled with people who have no meaning, no purpose, and whose violent death is only there to provoke our laughter and/or contempt. In the end, what we understand is that the universe doesn't care about life. One more, one less, what does that change? Nothing. There is nothing sacred and unique about anyone, even our heroes themselves, since there are thousands of Ricks and Mortys in parallel universes. In one episode, Rick and Morty changed universes for the simple reason that Rick failed making an antidote, which turned all of Earth in their universe into horrific creatures. And for Rick, it's just too bad. Morty's reaction, on the other hand, shows the horror when facing meaningless violence every day and a universe that doesn't care. Our inability to understand this universe is what the philosopher Albert Camus calls the absurd. Man is faced with the irrational. He feels in him his desire for happiness and reason. The absurd arises from this confrontation between the human call and the unreasonable silence of the world. In Rick and Morty, we are always reminded of our insignificant place in the world. In the Tinyverse episode, Rick creates a miniature universe for the sole purpose of powering his spaceship's battery. In the episode Let's Get Swifty, alien heads choose Earth as a candidate for a competitive musical show, and humans can do nothing but endure or die. In fact, the absurdity and the silence of the universe is not really what interests me in Rick and Morty. For if it is true that the universe has no inherent meaning for humans, then it is only a fact of life over which we have no control. And as Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, says, what torments men is not reality, but their judgments over it. So it's not the insignificance of the world that matters. It's our reaction to it that affects us, which changes everything, because our reaction is under our control. And this is where Rick and Morty gets really confusing and interesting, especially in the character of Rick, because the creators Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland consciously or unconsciously created the typical image of the lost person, unable to live in the world as it is. Let me explain. Rick is a genius. He is the smartest man in the universe. And the version of Rick we are following, C-137, is perhaps the smartest in the whole multiverse. He's able to teleport wherever he wants, create whatever he wants, stop time, destroy a planet, reclone himself as much as he wants, which makes him practically immortal, and we still don't know everything he is capable of yet. He is almost a god, or what comes closest to a human god. He is very intelligent, yet he falls into one of the biggest traps in the face of the absurdity of the world. I am talking about nihilism. The universe is as it is. It doesn't give a damn about humanity in particular, even less of a particular human being. But this observation is only an observation. It is not yet a judgment. Rick's actions and words, however, demonstrate a judgment he has made on the world. Rick doesn't care about anything. That's what he says and what he shows.
Yeah, I don't care.
He doesn't care about his grandson, who is just a way to hide his genius. He has nothing to do with his family. He doesn't care about feelings. He has nothing to do with the viewers, and he says it.
I don't give a fuck is my new catchphrase. Fuck you.
All he cares about is doing what he wants when he wants without taking anyone into account. Rick's position is called a nihilistic position. Nihilism, which comes from nihil, which means nothing, is the belief that nothing is worth anything in the world. No value really makes sense, since everything will disappear, since everyone will die, and everything will be destroyed. Rick told his daughter Beth,
when you know nothing matters, the universe is yours.
You might think that this is a liberating statement, but this is a destructive statement. Rick acts in accordance with this belief and does not respect anything. He laughs at everything, he destroys everything in his path, kills all those who oppose him without thinking, he abuses alcohol and drugs as if there is no tomorrow. Since everything is going to be destroyed and everyone is going to die anyway, what does that change if it is now or later? He does all of this mostly because he can, and that's what is so disturbing about the show. Because Rick's attitude might make us think that as long as you are smart and powerful, you can do anything you want. Because there is nothing that can stop you. Who will judge you? And even if they judge you, on what basis? Nothing is worth anything, so why not try to win at all costs? Or destroy everything if we don't win? Then say that all of those who don't like us are mediocre, envious people. This is part of what makes Rick so popular, and sadly an idol to some. His actions are seen as the pinnacle of freedom and power. That's right, Rick is capable of winning and having nothing to do with anything. But he wins at what cost? Because we can see that Rick laughs a lot of times when he exercises his freedom by destroying and killing, but the rest of the time he's completely miserable and pathetic. This is what the series shows us too. Because maybe Rick is powerful and his power is enviable, but he is an alcoholic, depressed, and very lonely. If he's an idol and his nihilistic philosophy appeals to some, you have to understand what is waiting at the end. Nihilism, believing that nothing is of value, is very painful. This is a crippling belief, because why seek anything if it has no value? Everywhere you go, you don't feel it has any purpose or meaning. This pain is not insignificant, it's dangerous. It's what makes Rick act the way he does. Because when you feel pain, you want to inflict pain. When you feel despised, you want to despise others. It's no longer treat others the way you want to be treated, but treat others the way you think they are treating you. This is the case with Miss Meeseeks when they say,
Existence is pain to a Meeseeks, Jerry, and we will do anything to alleviate that pain.
The existential pain they feel is so intense that they want to get rid of it at all costs, so they resort to violence. In fact, Rick is nihilistic because he is lost. The suffering caused by this feeling of loss and his loneliness leads him to have self-destructive and violent reactions. He resorts to hedonism, alcohol, drugs, sex as a solution to the meaninglessness of his life and his suffering. But pleasures are never satisfying. They are only momentary relief. This is one of the effects of nihilism. When all the old values of courage, temperance, justice, friendship, and love fail, then we want to replace them with something else. And it's money, pleasure, fame, and power that takes their place. They are not getting us anywhere. Because when money is the only value to look for in life, and money is lacking, life has no meaning anymore.
Gentlemen, there's a solution here you're not seeing.
Rick's alcohol addiction isn't even hedonism anymore, because he no longer enjoys drinking. Alcohol is just one way to forget his unhappiness and pain. Rick is in pain. He hides behind his nihilism and his addictions, but the creators of the series are not hiding it. As we learn at the end of the first season, Rick's catchphrase means he is in pain.
It's not nonsense at all. In my people's tongue, it means, I am in great pain. Please help me.
Because even though Rick is the smartest man in the universe, he's still a man, a human being, who needs purpose to feel in balance. And we are shown in several episodes that, despite the facade he shows, which is very nihilistic and cynical, despite all his words, in reality he does care about his family, his daughter, and Morty. One of Rick's problems is that he believes his unhappiness and his attitude stems from his intelligence. And to believe that being sad and cynical because you are smart is a very common fallacy. But even though sadness was a consequence of intelligence, it is mostly evidence of lack of wisdom. Intelligence and wisdom are two different things. Rick is very intelligent, but lacks wisdom. He lacks that wisdom which ancient philosophers like the Stoics held to be the thing of most value to human beings, and which we should look for, because wisdom is what allows us to live in the world as it is. The fact that the world doesn't care about us doesn't mean anything in and of itself. It is just a fact, and it is our judgment that defines how we will react to this fact. And the Stoics insist that what we should seek is courage, justice, self-control, care about others, and having a good judgment on whatever happens to us. One of the consequences of Rick's nihilism is that there is a lot of cynicism in Rick and Morty. Cynicism, sarcasm, and irony have become commonplace today. In everyday life, people proudly claim their cynicism, their sarcasm, and their irony as if they were qualities, when they are signs of unpleasant people. Cynicism, sarcasm, and irony are practical consequences of nihilism because when nothing is worth anything, there is no need to respect anything or anyone, nor to consider any great human value. But this cynical attitude reveals something that is often seen: disillusionment with the world, with freedom, with justice, with friendship, with love. This disillusionment does not always come from existential discomfort. It sometimes comes simply from false hopes. Everything that we thought was sacred shows its limits over the years. And after that, cynical people say that they are not cynical but realistic, and that it is you who are not smart enough to understand the truth, but often it's not reason that makes them talk, but emotions disguised as reason.
What people call love is just a chemical reaction that compels animals to breed. It hits hard, Morty, then it slowly fades, leaving you stranded in a failing marriage. I did it. Your parents are gonna do it. Break the cycle, Morty. Rise above. Focus on science.
Love is just a chemical reaction, so love is meaningless. But a sentence is also just an ordering of words, one next to another. It still ends up making sense. Most of us only get cynical about certain things because we have been disappointed. We are cynical about love because we have been hurt. We are cynical about friendship because we have been forgotten. But we only feel hurt and forgotten because we want a world where love is possible and genuine friendship is reciprocated. Our suffering sometimes causes us to act in extreme ways. To avoid suffering, we avoid living altogether. And this is unfortunate, for it is our judgment on events that is poorly worded, and it's what needs to be changed, instead of avoiding life events altogether. What Rick and Morty teaches us, especially through the character of Rick, is that we have to be very careful about how we react to reality. Nihilism and cynicism are not reality, and if we continue thinking this way, we risk falling into self-destructive behaviors and losing what is dear and valuable to us. It's possible to have another judgment on life, a wiser judgment that we can build, and maybe with some effort, our life in this world could be less painful. It might even be enjoyable, a life that we will not have wasted because we were afraid of living it.